Hello and welcome to the program. As you know, this ministry is called MIIM, which stands for Mau Ia Yesu Media Ministry, which means Testimony of Jesus Christ. And from time to time, we invite people to share their testimony and stories of God's love and how God impacted their lives. And today, Christopher Rentall is here with me today, and Chris is going to share an experience that he had, an experience that he believed could have lost his life, and he believed that God delivered him from that experience. And so, welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
To the program.
Thanks very much.
Then, how did it get you to the point that you got involved in that experience there with the skydiving thing?
Yeah, the skydiving thing. So this is a really good story. You know, like this is like parting of the Red Sea story. This is like Daniel in the lion den story. This is like, you know, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego in the fiery furnace story. This is an amazing story. But first, I'd just like to take you back a little to take it before the story. Yeah. So before this skydiving story, I was very hard on myself. You know, it's like, if I love God so much, why am I doing the wrong thing? Why am I choosing to do the wrong thing? You know, why am I saying the wrong thing? It's like, God, you know, like, I don't want to do this. You know, I call myself a Christian, but why am I keep doing the wrong thing? Very, very hard on myself, really hard. And then we come up to this skydiving story. And so what happens was that Raya, my third born, she turned 30 in July of last year. She turned 30 in July 2021. And her friends, some of her friends, gave her a voucher for skydiving at Torquay for the 30th of July 2021.
That's last year.
That's last year from this recording, yep. And so she was stoked, you know, she was really, because she's like, we're similar, you know, we like adventure, you know. And so she's got this voucher, but then all of a sudden, you know, it was during COVID and we went into a lockdown, you know, and the first week, you know, we didn't know if it was going to go on, and then we got the second week it goes into, but then after, I think it might have been a 12-day lockdown, but close enough to 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden we come out of lockdown. I think it was on the 27th of July that we come out of lockdown. Skydiving's on the 30th. And so when we come out of lockdown, I said to Raya, you know, like, oh, I'd like to go with you, you know, it'd be cool, you know, because I've been wanting to jump out of a plane, you know, those perfectly good aeroplanes that fly in the air and land. Yeah, so I've been wanting to jump out of them since the 1990s. You know, like that's like 3 decades ago. So it's been something I've been wanting to do. And she says, oh, I'll give him a ring. So on the Thursday, no, on the 28th, whatever the 28th was, so on the 28th of July, she rings him up, and guess what? There's one spot left. One spot left. And it's like, yeah, you know, and so it was like awesome, you know, like, so now there's 2 of us. We're excited, we're scared, we're nervous, we're anxious, we've got all these emotions running through us. We were just so excited. And so it comes up to the Friday morning, which is the 30th, and, you know, I guess we're like a lot of families. Sometimes there's a lot of chaos and things are not quite right, to say the least. And so it was really chaotic that morning, and we had to be there between 10 and 10:30, because if you're late, you can't do your drills and get up there and you're too late and you basically turn around and lose your money. And so we were on a bit of a time constraint. And then with all this stuff going, it's put us a little bit further behind. And in the end, I said, look, Raya, I can't go. And so Raya, she gets in the car. She leaves about 7:30 in the morning to get to Torquay. And it's around about 2 hours, maybe just like under 2 hours to get to Torquay from where we live. And not long after she left, I get a phone call. And then what was going on is now sort of got another twist in the story. And so it meant I could now go with Raya, but Raya's already gone. So I say, look, to Bernie, can you ring Raya and let her know that I can now go? And if she can pull over, if she can't, she can't. But if she can, it'd be good, and I'll just catch up to her. So while Bernie's doing this, I put on my good hiking boots and I put on my top and clothing, that I go, hiking the snow and that in, like warm stuff, because our skydiving was booked to jump at 12,000 feet, but we ended up jumping at 10. So I was preparing for cold weather. And sturdy stuff as well. And so I get this stuff on, and Raya, she's going to pull over for me, and she does. So I catch up to her. Now we pull into a car park. I leave my car there and we hop into Raya's car and we go there. Now, remember how I was saying that I was a bad person, like I was a bad husband, I was a bad father, hardly ever home, and when I was distant. I missed out on so much, because Army was number one. I remember with Raya, I wasn't even there for her first birthday because I was off playing Soldier Boy. I didn't do wedding anniversaries because I was off playing Soldier Boy. But anyway, so
this is pretty much the first time you.
Yeah, this drive is awesome because we're actually getting quality one-on-one time.
Yeah.
Father, daughter, we're just loving life. We're enjoying each other's company, And Raya, she believes in God as well. So we're having some nice
time on the road.
Yeah, nice time on the road.
A little bit over 2 hours, is it? Yeah.
A bit under 2 hours.
A bit under 2 hours.
Yeah, but by this stage we were pushing for time, and we didn't speed, but we thought, we're just going to leave it in the hands of God. If we get there on time, if we don't, we don't. That's the sort of the attitude that we had. But we were really enjoying each other's company, and that was really good quality time, looking at the countryside as well. And Raya and I, we're really good to travel together. Okay, so if you ever travel with me, be prepared that I need lots of wee stops. And Raya's the same, because we drink a fair bit of water. We're reasonably healthy and that, so our systems are pretty clean on the inside. So we have lots of wee stops, and so if I needed a wee stop, Raya didn't mind because she'd have one too, and then if she needed one, I didn't mind because I'd probably have one as well. So we travel together really well, and so we get to the skydiving place, and guess what? Guess what time we get there? We had to be there by 10:30, no later. We get there at 10:28, 2 minutes to spare. And it's like, yes, we've got there, thanks God, we got there, didn't speed and that sort of stuff. We got there in God's timing. And so after that, we go into the office because we're just about out of time. And so we go there, we're here. And so we start filling out the forms and that. And at the end, the guy behind the counter goes, do you want insurance? It's $30. And Ray and I, we just look at each other and we go, nah. It's like skydiving is so safe, hardly ever, an incident with skydiving. So we save our, $60 in total. So we save that money and we don't get insurance. And then, of course, we need to have another nervous wee. So we go in and we have another nervous wee, and then we go into this like a building. It's got a TV there. We watch a DVD on how things are meant to go. We learn about different positions, the banana position, where you got to put your hands and when you can put your hands out and what to do in landing and all that sort of stuff. And we go all through that training. And then I think we might even, we had another nervous week after that as well. It wouldn't surprise me. And then we go into another area. I'm not sure what it's called. It's like a shed, but like a skydiving hangar sort of thing where there's parachutes and harnesses and stuff. And this is when we first met our instructors. So my instructor, his name was Arron Toepfer, and to me, he's like the hero of this story. Right. Okay, because we're basically total strangers. Meet each other for the first time, you know, and you know, we put our jumpsuits on and our harnesses, and the instructors are like making sure, you know, that everything's fitting properly and that sort of stuff. And then we've just basically got to wait our turn. And so they're off, they're doing the other people who are there. So before us, there was 3 solo jumpers and 2 other tandems, because we were doing tandem. So like the instructors are there at the back of us and we're strapped to the instructor. And so we're just waiting for that. And, you know, I'm going through the drills in my head, you know, like, this is what I've got to do. Like being an army boy, I'm still very black and white. Finally, it is our turn to jump. And so we go out into the, out to the plane, and this plane is just so little, right? Oh, it is so little. And the instructors, they could probably tell that we were like really anxious and nervous and excited, and that, you know, and they sort of make jokes and that sort of stuff, you know, just horsing around. They were really good blokes. And they say to us, oh, who wants to jump first? And Ray and I look at each other, and Ray says, oh, yes, that you'll jump. So that meant I had to get in first, because, you know, it's like first in, last out type of thing. And before we get into the plane, Arron says to me, oh, what do you want to do when you get up there? And I go, oh, what do you mean? And he goes, oh, do you want to do like twists and turns and that sort of stuff? And I go, oh, yeah, all of that. You know, because, like, you know, I love a bit of adventure, and that just sounds so cool. You know, just imagine being in the air and doing all these, you know, things. You know, it would have been awesome. And so I might just use this table. Yeah, sure. Yeah, just to give you a demonstration of, like, how we got in. Right. So.
You'll have to bend.
Yeah, we do. It was, like, little. So we'd have to like bend in there, you'd have to get your legs up there, and like, you know, the roof of the plane is like that, and we're like this, and then you're like sort of like scrunching up to the very end, and you're literally like this, you know, and then Arron comes behind me, he straps us together, so we're together, Raya's up here, and then Raya's instructor, and the plane has got like a perspex sort of roof, so that you can actually see what's going on. And so we take off in this position, like all cramped up, and I love scuba diving. You know, scuba diving is one of my passions, you know, and it's really good for my mental health. So like when my anxiety is like really high, it helps lower it. And then when my depression is really hitting me, if I go for a scuba dive, it helps lift me out of depression as well. So I love scuba diving. And before this incident, I was scuba diving once or twice a week, easy. You know, so I was in the water heaps and heaps. And we've got the YouTube channel, The Happy Diver, as well. And so, you know, like it was a big part of my life. And so when we've gone in the plane in Torquay, they've done a fly over the sea. And I'm looking down and I'm thinking, oh, is that a reef system? I wonder what it's like going diving down there. And I'm just loving life, you know, just looking at the ocean from this little plane. And then we fly over to the like the countryside, and you've got the pash quilt sort of, you know, like paddocks and stuff. Beautiful. And then all of a sudden, the door opens up. Have you ever been in a plane where the door opens up?
No, never.
It's windy, right? Really windy. The wind's just gushing around.
Imagine.
Yeah. And then so Raya and her instructor, they sort of like school out to the door. They put their feet where Raya puts her feet where it's meant to go, and then they're off. And then it's our turn. And by this stage, Arron's like really tighten up the harnesses. So we're like basically like Siamese twins. And so we scuttle out, and I put my feet over this step that's out there. And then all of a sudden, I have this intense fear. It's like, there's no way known I'm jumping out of this perfectly good aeroplane down there. No way. I'm you can take me back. It was like, that's how scared I was. There was no way known I was jumping out. And this happened within a split second, and it's good that it did, because all of a sudden, we're out. Arron's just gone, whew, and we're out. And as soon as we're out, I've got my hands on the harness where they're meant to be, and Arron's out there. He's got his hand out, and he's got a GoPro on his left wrist. And I'm going, because I'm having so much fun now. Like, that split second of fear was it.
Sorry, we're talking about what, 10,000?
10,000 feet, yeah, about 3 kilometres. Yeah, so we jumped at 3K, and I'm going, yeah, this is fantastic. And I'm looking into the GoPro, yeah, this is great. Like, I was just having so much fun. It was awesome, like I was just loving it and loving it and loving it. Yeah. Did I say that I enjoyed jumping out of the plane? I think I might have.
Wow.
It was so cool. And I'm waiting for Arron to tap me on the right shoulder, because when he taps you on the right shoulder, that's when you can let go of your harness and put your hands out. So now I'm like this, and Arron's on top.
Right.
Yeah, and Arron's on top, and it's just like so much fun. And as soon as my arms go out, it made it even more exciting. And like I was just so excited and just loving it. And then this fleeting thought come over me. I thought, gee, we're getting a lot of free fall, but I was having so much fun. I didn't care, and then
you were comfortable.
Oh yeah,
very comfortable.
I was loving it, absolutely loving it. And then so from around now on, my memory is not the best. So I'm getting accounts from video footage and from what Raya has said now, and other people as well. So this is the way my memory and the bits and pieces are. Yeah. So the main shoots come up, and I'm going, yeah, I'm loving this. This is just so good. But I can't remember that bit. What I remember personally is at some stage I've looked up, and all I can see is the chute going like this, and the ropes are twisting, and it's like Raya is up above us, and they're like, and who jumped first?
And they jumped first.
Yeah, and so where should they be, do you think? Should they be above?
They should be below you.
They should be below. And like all this is going through my mind in this another split second of thought, and I was like, we're in trouble here, something's going on. Now, remember how I said to you, I was really hard on myself, because I'm a Christian, I call myself a Christian, but I do the wrong thing so much. This is where God has taught me a lesson. Well, I guess
What are you talking about in that moment?
In this free fall.
Right. Okay.
So in this free fall now, a lot of people will ask me, were you scared? And I wasn't scared. The only time I was scared was when I was still sitting on that plane step with my feet out. That was the only time I had fear. Now I'm yelling out to Arron, because it's like really windy, because it's so windy up there, like we're going pretty quick. And so I'm yelling out to Arron things like, trust God, have faith in God. God will look after us. And my total faith and my total trust was in God. And I was really expecting God to get us out of that. I was really expecting to. And so with Arron, he grew up going to like Christian primary and a Christian secondary school. So he had knowledge of God.
Right.
Okay, and his family were believers as well. So he knew of God. And the way I see this all falling out, or like the way I see this all happening is, and I could be wrong, but if you listen to the story, you might agree with me. So I see this as God knocking on the heart of Arron. Like when I'm saying God is good, God is, there to look after us type of thing, I think that's the Holy Spirit coming through me, knocking on the door of Arron's heart to say, let Jesus in. but I think it's still close at this stage. And bear with me why I say that. So we're falling and we're falling, we're falling. The secondary chute comes out, same thing. So now we've got on our second failure. And Arron, he's doing his best to try and untangle it. The sheep down below us have scattered. They must have seen us coming. By this stage, I'm out to it. I've either passed out from the pressure or my heart's gone. I'm not really sure why I passed out. We're getting closer to the ground, closer to the ground, closer to the ground. Arron's still trying to rectify the problem. And we're spiralling like this in a clockwise direction. And so we're that close to the ground now. There's not much else that can be done. Arron cradles me to protect me. Remember, we're basically total strangers. And here's this total stranger doing all he can to protect his passenger at the disregard of his own well-being. Like, there's a Bible verse that sort of describes this.
And you mentioned, with our conversation before we came here, you mentioned that Bible text, eh? Would you like me to?
Yeah, have a read of that.
I think that's it's from the Gospel of John, chapter 15 and verse 13, which says that greater love has no one than this, and to lay down one's life for one's friends.
No, that's amazing. And that's like a friend doing that for a friend. But here is Arron. I'm a total stranger. How much more is Arron to be commended for what he did? Like if Jesus is commending that, like it sort of reminds me of Jesus. Like, he died for us. He died for people who reject him. He died for people who don't know him. Like,
so he's wrapping his arms around you.
Yeah, he's cradled me.
It sounds like he knows that, this is it.
It's just that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, as we're falling, Raya and her instructor are basically having a conversation, like what's going on. And from my knowledge is that the end result was for us to fall is like instant death. And we've come down and now we've hit the ground. So like, I guess my legs have probably hit the ground and Arron has sort of like borne some of the impact as well, and we've tumbled. And we've just laid there motionless. And here's Raya, like if you put your thoughts into Raya now and think, like Raya, he's watching her dad falling to his death. Like, like you think of that for your own family. You think of that for your own family, that you're watching someone who you love die in like such a freak accident. Or was
then what happened from there?
Yeah, so we're down there, we're laying motionless. Raya and her instructor are trying to get down as quick and as safe as possible. Because we're not moving, the thought is, yes, they're both dead, because we've just fallen 3 kilometres with both parachutes. Free fall, basically. Both parachutes didn't work. They both didn't work, so we should both be dead. And they get on the ground, and Raya's instructor goes to Raya, look, you stay here, I'm going to go over there and check them out, do first aid, but we should be dead, so basically just go over and check us out. And then all of a sudden we start moving. Both of us start moving. And Raya sees this and she's like, she runs to us. And, I'm out of it. I hardly remember anything of this because when I did come to, it'd be like, yeah, and then I'm out of it again. And around this time, the police have seen us falling, so they were on the scene pretty quick. So the paramedics would have been on their way as well. The people from the skydiving company, they're on their way. And one of those solo jumpers there, he was still there. He was a very fit man. He literally ran across paddocks and jumped fences to get to us because we're just out in the middle of a sheep paddock. And he gets there about the same time as the guys were driving there. You know, they were all rushing to us to, you know, to try and help us. And so we lay there motionless and start moving. I'm out of it. But Arron, he's not too bad, really. You know, he wanted to get up and he was talking, he was you know, having a conversation, and that's. So
Arron was conscious and you were unconscious.
Yeah, right? That's right. And remember how I said when we were coming down, you know, it was like God was knocking on his heart.
Right.
Now comes an interesting part. Is that Raya is praying for us. She's praying for Arron. And then, not at the start, but after a little bit, Arron has this sense of calm, a sense of peace. And it's like, Arron has now opened his heart to Jesus. Because how else do you get that peace? You know, like I've had that peace. I know what it's like to have the peace of God in your heart. And it is an amazing thing. And it's like God has now entered the heart of Arron. And it's like just a beautiful moment, really. You know, like someone giving their life to Jesus, even though, you know, in the circumstances. And so the paramedics, they come. We're both put into the back of the vehicles to be monitored, kept warm, while the air helicopters, you know, the paramedics are coming. At this stage, Raya, she can't do anything, so she goes back to the skydiving place. She gets her phone, she rings up one of her sisters and says, look, Dad's been in an accident. You need to contact Mum, burning, and you need to come, and you need to come now, basically, because it was thought that I was still going to die, you know, because I was the worst of the two of us, you know, from what it was thought. And so my youngest daughter, she rings up Bernie. Bernie's on her way to work at this stage, and she says to Bernie something like, oh, Mum, I need you to go home. I need to talk to you. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm on my way to work. You know, I'm not going home. What's going on? And Shara goes, look, I just need to go home. Trust me, go home. And Bernie, being stubborn, he goes, no, I'm not going home, I'm going to work. And then, so over the phone, Bernie is now told that we've been in an accident. And what's really sad about this is that I didn't really pay much attention to it, but before I left, Bernie wasn't saying the most nicest words to me on the way out. So here's Bernie. She said some unpleasant things, and now that's in her head. And the fact that I've had an accident, the fact that I can die, and it's like, Bernie's been through enough in her life, you know, because of my bad behaviour and then my PTSD and then going in the hospital, and now she's got an extra trauma on top of all this. Like, it's just too much. I think it's too much. And so she goes home, they meet up with the kids, and then the kids, they head off. And by this time, I was in the helicopter going to Alfred, so they went to Melbourne. Sort of during all this time as well, Raya, she has to go to the police station to make a statement, and around this time she hears that one of us has died, but didn't know who at the start. And so who do you think she's going to think it is? Me. Yeah. She's like, here she is, this beautiful girl. She's seen her father fall to his death, but he survived. From the impact, my face was all disfigured, so my eyes were like bulging out, face was all distorted. And so her last image of her dad was not very nice. And all of a sudden, it's like she gets a message, oh, Dad's died. That's what's in her head, that Dad's died. And then I'm not sure how long after, but she found out that it was Arron. So sadly, Arron, for whatever reason, he didn't make it, died at the scene, which is just... Yeah,
Still trying to get my head around. So, free fall from 3 kilometers above.
Mm-hmm.
And Arron died, and you survived. Here you are.
I know, crazy. Like, why does these things happen? And for a fair while, I had what they call survivor's guilt. So it's like, like I'm alive. I get time to spend with my family. I can breathe. I can laugh. I'm here. But Arron's family, my heart really goes out to Arron's family because it's like, they've lost their son, their brother, and the skydiving community have lost their friend, and but why did I survive? Like we technically should have both died. Yeah. And so
this is rare. This is rare, and I'll come back to Arron, but for you, seeing that journey right from childhood all the way up to this point, and your relationship with God, was there something that you discovered after this as a result of this accident or incident? Did you discover anything new about God that you didn't know before after this?
Maybe not discovered something new about God.
Right.
I discovered something new about myself.
Right.
And that was, I am a Christian. Like God, there's so many elements in this story, and one of the elements is that in that free fall, I probably had two choices. It was either curse God and die, or love God, praise Him, and accept whatever it is. It's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We're not going to bow down to the image. But even if our God doesn't save us, we're going to go into the fiery furnace. Yeah. And I see this maybe like a similar thing. This might have been my fiery furnace. Right. How are you going to react? Yeah. And
how did that change your life since then?
Yeah.
And your relationship with God.
Like I know God is always there with us, but sometimes we stray from God. And I'm still have that like concertina effect where I'm straying, like straying to and fro, I guess you could say. Yeah. And, but I just find I'm more content now. Like I still do the wrong things, but I'm not beating myself up about it. And Jesus, the brilliance of Jesus is that He came to this earth and He lived as a man. He was tempted as we are. He suffered, as a human can suffer. He died and He experienced separation and then He rose again. Yeah. If He didn't rise, there'd be no hope for us. But He actually went through all that and then rose again. And that way we have that choice to either choose Him or not. We can either choose to be with Him in heaven or not. We can choose life or we can choose death. That's our choice. Yeah. And so my relationship with God now is different, but in a good way. Yeah. Different in a good way. And I'd like to encourage people, if they were like me beforehand, yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm doing the wrong thing, don't beat yourself up about it, because like Jesus knows what it's like. If you're sincerely trying, if your desire is to be with Him and do the right thing, and you do the wrong thing, sincerely repent. And accept God's grace. We can't earn it. We just have to say, Jesus, please forgive me. Accept His grace.
Well, probably our viewers are looking at some of the images of your recovery since then. How long you been then in the hospital, you know, been through those treatments and
Yeah.
recovery process.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just last year.
Yeah,
Just
that's right.
2021.
Well, the story just keeps getting more amazing as it goes on. So, as we've discussed, fallen 3 kilometres, should have died, but lived. Went to hospital, and like some of the injuries I got, so like I dislocated my hip like front ways instead of sideways, because like I'd like doing things the hard way. You know, there's no use doing it the easy way. So as a result of doing it the hard way, an 8mm bit of bone was chipped off, and the part of my hip was like now flattened instead of curved. I've got a couple of brackets in there holding things together. And so with my injuries, you know, my left hip was dislocated and fractured. Also my left kidney, my spleen, my lung, my heart, 2 broken ribs, internal bleeding, 3 broken vertebrae. My tongue had to be stitched up. And yeah, I had multiple traumas. And so it was thought that, you know, will this guy ever walk again? They didn't know. Within the first 48 hours, they didn't know if my heart was going to give away because it was that damaged. However, the healing process has been really quick. Like when I was in the Alfred, I was there for 6 days. While I was there, I learnt to walk again. I started on those wheelie frames, you know, where you, and then I started learning to use crutches. I was transferred to the Warrnambool Hospital, South West Healthcare there, and they were fantastic. And there, they looked after me really well, and I did more work on the crutches, and total of 12 days in hospital, 6 in the Alfred, 6 in Warrnambool, and home with aids to learn how to, you know, keep learning how to walk, how to dress myself, and, you know, like shower chair, toilet chair, and yeah, and just amazing how things have just gone so quick. You know, in that first, say, 3 to 6 months, things just went rapidly in healing time. And my family have been fantastic, friends have been fantastic. One of the things that I loved about my healing was that my family, they would get me out into the wheelchair and walk me along the beach, you know, along the footpath, and then the Warrnambool Surf Life and Saving Club, they've got beach chairs down there, like beach wheelchairs. And so, you know, the fam would get me down and wheel me on the beach, and the most favourite time was when I first got into the ocean again. And, you know, they got me in the beach wheelchair, they wheeled me into the water. I had, you know, my family, my girls, and one on each side, one at the back. They helped me get up, and they, you know, helped me get into the water. And then when I was deep enough, I could, you know, like swim, and yeah, and then sort of like the reverse out, they got me out. But if you wanted to see that, it's on our YouTube channel, The Happy Diver. Look in Accident and Recovery playlist, and yeah, look that one up because that's one of my favourites. Yeah. There's just so many elements in this story.
Yeah.
So with the hip, with this bit of bone, the plan A for the surgeons was to do the safe method, which was to dislocate my hip, break it, get the bit of bone out, and then put everything back together. But that meant I'd probably never be able to walk properly again. You know, I'd be like, yeah, not be able to walk properly again if I was ever able to walk. Because at this stage, in the first 48 hours of being in the Alfred, they still thought that I could still die from heart failure because my heart was damaged. And so, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to ever walk again. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go scuba diving again. But I was content. Like, I wasn't angry, I wasn't sad, I wasn't, you know, frustrated with God. You know, with this relationship with God, it was just like, okay, God, if I can't walk, well then I can't walk.
So, taking me back to Arron, so you believe that if Arron didn't wrap you or protect you, you would have died? I'm
not sure.
Right.
What I do know is that Arron, he did all he could to protect me.
To protect you.
Yeah.
And you know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you believe that God delivered you
Yes.
from that
yes.
incident.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I believe, this is my belief, is that Raya and I were put there, God got us there for the salvation of Arron's soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really believe that. I think, like, why else would two Christians be there at that particular time, for that particular parachute, for that particular person, for all this to happen? Like, God will go above and beyond to save every single person. So Jesus died for every one of us.
Yeah. And this is a challenging thing, Chris. I'm trying, I'm mindful of Arron as well, side of the story. We find in scriptures, a lot of promises, that God is with us through the good times and bad times as well. And you believe that God delivered you from that near-death experience, just like He delivered good people, like Daniel from the lion's den, or Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego from the fiery furnace. It's just like He delivered you, but He didn't deliver Arron. Just like He didn't deliver John the Baptist when he was murdered. Just like when He didn't deliver Stephen, a faithful deacon of the early church, for his faith. But I guess the most of all is when God didn't deliver His own Son on the cross. What would you say to a faithful follower of Jesus who may be struggling out there, who may be watching your story, and maybe trying to make sense the loss of a loved one? What would be your message to? So, and I guess that's the Arron side of the story. That's the John the Baptist side. That's the Stephen side of the story.
That's a really good question, and I'm not really sure how to answer it, because I've never been in that position. How do I? I don't know how people feel who are in that position. What I could say is that, if you look at the examples that you gave us, what was Jesus' reaction to when John the Baptist died?
His cousin.
Yeah, his cousin. Yeah. Maybe we can look further into the Bible and see how Jesus reacted. With John the Baptist, I think it's easy to say, or plain to say, that he's going to be with Jesus in heaven. With Arron, I firmly believe, we don't know who's going to heaven or not, but the circumstances and how he had that peace of God in his heart, I believe that he is going to be with Jesus in heaven. And so if that can give comfort to people, hold on to that and never let go of the true vine.
Hang on to that faith.
Keep that faith. And it's like, I don't want to be insensitive. I guess I could say that, we go through hard times, and I've gone through my hard times, but that doesn't mean everybody's gone through them, and I don't know exactly what other people are going through, in their hard times, because I'm not in their shoes. I haven't lived their life. But if I reflect it back to my life, is that, I can look back and think all these hardships, what happened to Mum, being molested, all these hurdles in my life, and I'm now at a point where I finally got finally the penny dropped. God, it's all about God. It's all about Jesus. We might not understand. I don't understand why things happened in my life, but I know now that all these little trials have sort of manifested in one big one, fallen 3 kilometres, you know.
Absolutely.
And out of this skydiving incident, so many things good has happened. It's not good that Arron died. But as a result of this really hard time, there is good coming out of it. You know, so like with these talks that we do, sharing this story, people are being blessed. For example, last week at a church, you know, we gave this message, and you know, several people recommitted their lives to Jesus. Like, it's just it's working more miracles. Like, it's not just a miracle that God saved me. It's not just a miracle that I can now walk. It's not just a miracle that, you know, I've competed in 3 mini triathlons. Like, there's so many miracles. We just cannot count all the miracles that happened in just or from this one story. It's just amazing.
And this is Chris' experience. You know, God delivered him. But if you're watching out there, if you're listening to the story, and if you're on the Arron side of the story, of course, it's not easy to say, because even in the Bible, we find those examples where God delivered faithful people, but He didn't deliver others. And I guess these are some of we will live with those questions until our Lord Jesus return, and then He will, I guess, enlighten us more with that. But just for now, we are mindful of that, and we pray for you. We are praying for you if you are in that situation. I guess lastly, Chris, what message would you like your viewers to take home from your story?
Yep, that's a good question. So my message to you folk out there is to acknowledge that bad and sad things happen in life. However, there is so much good, and there's so much joy, and there's so much happiness as well. And the way I treat my relationship with God is that the more of Jesus I put in, the more of Jesus I put out. And so I encourage you to put more goodness in, that more goodness may come out. That'll benefit you and others as well.
If God delivered you, praise God and thank God for that. If you are on the Arron side of the story, hang in there. God will be here soon.
Amen.
And we will see clearly. But as for now, thank you so much for joining us, and God bless.